Okay, welcome back. Episode 2, Hemi.Wav Podcast. Thank you for joining. My name is Morgan. I have Mikayli here with me. He flew in tonight from Brooklyn, ready to share, ready to connect. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, what are you doing in Denver this weekend?
I am here for the Essex Cervantes show. It's a Essex art show, so he's doing all his art pieces, and he's made some ceramics. He's doing a whole art show before the main room.
The show before the show?
The show before the show.
I love that. I love that. So are you a big Essex fan?
Yes.
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 So I'm sad that I'm not going to be here this weekend. And by the time this comes out, that show will be long in the past. So let's talk about what you have coming up next. Like, what is your big vision goal for 2026? Like, what is on your radar? What is your bucket list?
Bucket list for 2026. Definitely want to headline a show. Definitely want to do some more touring. I feel like want to expand past like the East Coast, go maybe onto like California, the West Coast.
Love it.
Hit some bigger venues.
I foresee a headlining show, at least in this market, in your future. Not to give much away, but I foresee that heading your direction. So tell us a little bit about your sound. Like, who is Mikayli? What does he do? What is your creative vision?
Mikayli. Well, Mikayli is my real name too, for those who don't know. The project is kind of meant to be like what I make. You know, before I was Chronic, it was KRXNIK, and that was like very heavy dubstep, kind of rhythm. This is kind of what I just like to make, and it ranges from dubstep to drum and bass to dance music and UKG. I don't like to put myself in a box, but you know, it's dancey, fun, and then we still have the origins of the dubstep and bass music.
So you're rooted. You started out in dubstep.
Yeah.
Who are some of your favorite dubstep artists?
Well, the first artist I ever DJ'd was Scream.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, like
okay.
My homie Angelo back in like the high school days.
Light Flex.
Like that was by far like Dutch Flowers. I remember that was like one of the first songs I ever loaded into a DJ mixer. Wow. And yeah, it kind of all started there. And, on top of that, then I was like also into the heavier stuff like Getter and
I used to love Getter.
Yeah.
I love Getter.
Oh, I love it. The Visceral album, like that changed how I thought bass music was.
So on your path from dubstep to where you are now, did you like know you wanted to be a producer? Were you like, I want to be a dubstep producer? Do I want to just be a producer? Like, what was your thought process as you evolved through finding dubstep to becoming what now is like a really great producer that ranges from dubstep to drum and bass to like all these different avenues?
I never really thought about like being here. Definitely was just like always making sound design and making dubstep, and it was kind of just like a game, like playing Mario Kart. I was just like trying to make sounds and drums, and it turned into a project. But then I started making beats and getting into the hip-hop scene, and I worked in studios at S1 in Brooklyn. I was working with my friend Graydon, who taught me how to make music, and Jeff and Adam, all those cats. We all kind of started in that studio, and we're like making also hip-hop beats, and kind of eventually it fused into this project, but never really thought it would be what it became.
You didn't have like a target mark you were trying to hit of like, oh, I want to be this or I want to sound like this. You were just like, I want to explore this.
I was having fun, but I was definitely at points being like, oh, I want to sound like this, like Getter and Scream with the low end, and all these artists were like such big inspirations, and it definitely was like me trying to sound like that, but eventually realized that like sounding like someone wasn't really working. It just kind of sounded like I was replicating something, and it built my foundation and got me here.
So would you say that there's like a lot of value in staying true to like what comes from your heart, what comes from your soul, and like what you want to do, instead of being like, oh, I like this music, so I'm going to try to like replicate that sound or be a cookie cutter version of that sound because that's like what the market wants and that's what the fans are eating up? Like, do you think there's value in sticking to like this is authentic to me and it makes sense to me, so this is what I'm going to do?
For sure. I think you should do what makes you happy. Yeah. So if you like the cookie cutter stuff, then do it. If you like, experimenting and making weird sounds, do it. Like, I think you'll find what works for you. And if you think about trying to make it and doing this, eventually you're not going to be that happy. And you're probably going to fall into that box and not be able to get out of it.
Yeah.
I feel like it's important, even though it might take longer. I think staying true to yourself might create better art.
That makes sense. I definitely, as we saw setting up this podcast, am not a technology person. Yeah. I very much go on a whim. But what I have found in my own creative processes is that the happiest I've ever been is like when I'm just doing what feels good to me. And like, I try to tell people and they're like, yeah, you're speaking another language. Like, I don't know. And I had to really disconnect from like people understanding what my vision was and just knowing that my vision was like my vision. And some of my favorite artists are artists that have that ability to just be like, let's just go big, Tipper. Like for a long time, people are like, what is this music? Like, what are these crunchy experimental sounds? But over time, it becomes digestible and we grow to love it. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's such a valuable thing because you're really like setting your own wave, setting the tone. You're like creating legacy. You're opening up the doorway to other artists that have like that niche sound. And that's something that I feel like you really do as an artist. Like we can put you on a lineup with so many different people and like your sound is going to fit because you know how to switch lanes and you have a plethora of sound that you can bring to the table. So with your creative process, like what do you normally start with? Is it like the beat? Is it the melody? You use lyrics, you use lyricists, you include rappers, like you collaborate a lot, and we'll talk more about collaboration, but like, where do you start? Like, when you sit down at your computer, are you like, I'm going to start with the melody, I'm going to start the beat, I'm going to start with a visual? Like, where do you start?
Most of the time it's with the drums.
With the drums?
Yeah. But it could be the melody. But usually I find myself trying to make the drum beats and the sub bass and try to find the grooves that work with, like, if the drums knock, I feel like that's the first thing I'm noticing in beats. So usually that's what I try to make the strongest and then build off that, because like if the fundamentals are strong, then I think it's easier to construct what you want to make.
So you lay like a foundation with drums and then you build on that?
Yeah. For the most part, 80-90% of the time, yeah. But sometimes I'm just like feeling like making pretty sounds and might just make a minute or 30 seconds of just like no drums and pads and cute and pretty little sounds that all work together, and then might be a house beat, might be like a trap beat, you don't know, but once you put the drums on it, you find out. You're
good at using negative space too. Like some music is just like so much just like sound like overloaded in your brain, whereas like really how to like put your foot on the gas, let your foot off the gas and let it like simmer and use that negative space to contribute to the sound. So like I really value that about your project. When it comes to your creative flow and like your studio or your studio space, do you have like, okay, this is how I have to like set in, ground in, dive in. This is how I set the pace. Like, what are your rituals around creation? What do you do?
So typically starts with making sure my space is clean. Mm-hmm. Just think you need a clean space before you start sitting in that room for 8 hours or however long you're going to work. And then usually just like listening to music, figuring out what I'm going to do, or just like opening a project I've worked on the past few days and like getting the feel of it, not putting any pressure, because I don't really want to feel like I'm there working.
That makes sense. What do you normally listen to? Do you listen to like your own music, your friends' music, like artists that you like, other genres? Like what is your go-to, this gets me in the mood? Like when I am trying to get in the vibe, I'm a ratchet girly. I'm like, I need Gunna, I need Future, I need Lotto. Like, like that gets me moving. What is your Lotto, I guess?
Like, it could be Lotto, it could be Future. And typically it's probably not what people are thinking that I'm listening to. It's usually not like bass music. like lately I've just like been listening nonstop to the 3 new Mac Miller songs that came out on the Good AM album.
R.I.P. We love the king.
Yeah, rest in peace, one of my favorites.
Yeah.
But it'll start there, and just if I'm just like trying to find my vibe for the day. So I'm not sitting down being like, I gotta make dubstep, I gotta make drum and bass. I think the best way is like listening to what my body and my mind is like finding most comfort in, and then finding inspiration from that and being like, all right,
So
that
you
clicked. What
essentially,
did I
like-
like about it? And let me try to, have fun in the studio and not put pressure on myself.
So you start with your nervous system. You start with your body, using that as an oracle.
Yeah, that's
like,
that's a good way to put it.
What feels good in my body and gets me like in the Zen creative space in my body, and then from there you like spiral out into your mind, right? Is that what you're
Damn,
saying?
yeah. If you unravel it like that, then 100%. But yeah, exactly. I'm basically figuring out what my brain is telling me it wants to make, and not forcing it to do something that, I can please everybody and do 140 all the time, or drum and bass, or what everyone tells me to do. But when you listen to that feeling, I think you make the best version of what you're going to make.
Yeah, creativity
And
comes from an
never
inner
to lose that
space.
too, especially in this industry where people are always trying to like pull you one way or the other.
Definitely.
And it's definitely harder to make it in a scene like that, but you find your fans and you find your people.
And you find your muses.
Mm-hmm.
Like you find your fans, you find your people, and your fans and your people might look a lot different than your muses. And it's like your muses are what inspires you and helps you embody the feeling that you're trying to project. And that can look completely different from fan to muse, from muse to artist, and vice versa, however you want to mix that up. So, you make electronic music. A lot of your muses are not electronic music. And I think that that's something that gets lost in translation. Like, working in this industry, people always assume that I listen to electronic music all the time, and they'll send me playlists, and I'm like, I just really don't know what any of this is. Like, I listen to rap music and hip hop and like my artists and my favorite artists, but like I don't really dig into the realms of electronic music that much, and if they're like outside of my window. But what you do is just like so highly digestible by so many different fan bases. Like, no matter what area you live in, you fit so many different lineups. Like, what are some dream like lineups, festivals, promoters, venues? Like, what is your highest vision for the Mikayli project?
Highest. The highest I've thought of, I guess, would be like Red Rocks.
Red
like
Rocks,
headlining
that's gonna
Red
happen.
Rocks.
We're gonna call that in.
Like highest would be like headlining Red Rocks, and hopefully one day bigger. But I'd like to start there.
Love that.
I'm trying to not just be dubstep and break into other markets and make people realize that, it's music and not just,
It's
sounds.
expansive.
Exactly.
But it's
a
not just
feeling.
music for you. Like, a part of your project has been so much of like the visual aspect. Like, one of the first things, like, we've been friends for a while now, picture project up this year, and it's not only because of your music, but you're a phenomenal person. You have an expansive vision, but outside of the music, you also have this visual aspect about you where you can create like reels, videos, music videos, short clips. You love to collaborate with other artists. You're great at marketing yourself, putting yourself out there. And I feel like a lot of artists struggle with like the social media aspect, the marketing aspect, like posting photos of themselves, posting videos of themselves, making real content. How the hell do you even make a music video? And you
Still don't
do
know what
that
I'm doing.
shit like it's
none of us know what we're doing.
you do it like it's a cakewalk. So for people that are struggling with, let's say, marketing, because isn't that your actual job? Like your day-to-day job is marketing?
Yeah.
So tell us a
I do
little bit
digital
about that.
marketing. So I do digital marketing for a car dealership. It's basically I run Facebook ads, do the content, create all the advertisements to generate leads, and I sell them the information. So it's basically just like giving them phone numbers, emails from all the ads that I make, and then we retarget and try to get them back in the store.
And so it works. It
Yeah.
feeds what you do. So how do you make that translate into music? Like, how did you take that and be like, wait a minute, I can apply this to my music project? and really, really be successful in a way that a lot of artists haven't figured out yet?
I mean, I don't even know if I haven't figured it out, but there's definitely, I started as like a videographer before even producing music. So I was making music videos for rappers and my friends, and basically just, I loved the camera. That was my first, I just loved taking photographs as a kid. And eventually just, you know, as I started producing, I wanted to start making my own music videos. And I guess as this project came about and I started working with rappers and singers, it just all kind of cohesively flowed. And when it came to like hiring video guys, I just kind of wanted to do it myself. And yeah, now I'm just somehow here, and it's been a long I mean, my mom put me in a video editing class when I was like 10 years old, maybe.
So you're a different breed. You were born to do this, bred to do this. What is it about a photograph that you like? Like when you picked up a camera and you started taking pictures as a kid, and you were like, I love this shit. Like, what was it? What is it that you love about capturing things on camera?
At first, it was just the moment. It was just like taking something still, capturing cool things, skateboarding all the time, just like capturing the clip in the middle of a stair jump. And then as like I started getting a DSLR and like a Canon, I just started messing with exposure and aperture and started to like make like silhouettes out of skylines, and just had fun with just like trying to make it like Photoshop on the lens.
I love that.
And that kind of just turned into, you know, videography and then music videos, and it all started with skateboarding videos.
So you just released your first mini album, which to me hit like a full album. Like,
thank you.
The journey I went on listening to that was phenomenal. If you haven't listened to Sunsets in Bushwick yet, highly suggest go to SoundCloud right now, Mikayli-Sunsets in Bushwick, because this is such a beautiful body of art. But you did a lot of the like visuals for that as well. And so when you made this project, like first you made the album, right? And then you made the visuals. In your head, what came first? The visual of Sunsets in Bushwick, of like, I'm trying to create this visual feel, or were you trying to create an audio feel?
It was definitely at first an audio feel. Submersion kind of really made me go all the way in on drum and bass for like 3 months.
Shout out Submersion.
We love Submersion.
We love
Shout out Submersion. Go to Submersion.
We're gonna dive deep in this. Yes. But pause.
Yeah, so I got back. I just started writing a bunch of drum and bass and really fell into the liquid kind of feel of it. And it was all while I was bike riding home. I'd like see during this time, like from October to January in New York, the sunsets are like beautiful.
Top tier.
Yeah, top tier. So like I would bike ride over the bridge after work every day and see that, go right into my studio and start writing music. And it kind of just like every day was just like writing drum and bass to the sunset out my window.
I love that.
And it like, I was like, oh, Sunsets in Bushwick kind of sounds like the appropriate name for this.
It's not only the appropriate name, it's the perfect name. Like I've never even been to Bushwick, but when I listen to it,
it glorifies it a little bit.
Like with the music, with the visuals that you produce to go along with it, the audio, like if I had to envision what it would be like to be there, from what I've heard, like you nailed it. Like I can totally envision and feel what it would feel like to be in Bushwick at sunset, listening to your music, and it's just like pure bliss. So
thank you.
Congratulations to you on that. That's been a huge hit. You just released Let 'Em Talk. I'm not going to say it's my favorite Mikayli track, but I am going to say that
shout out Leak.
My favorite Mikayli track. Tell us about Leak. Who is he? I love him. His presence is top tier.
Yeah, no. He's really honed in on his rap craft. We go way back from, I can't even remember now, maybe 8 years or so. He used to go by Brella as a DJ.
Brella?
Yeah.
Brella?
Yeah. And now he's definitely just like, you know, he hasn't really DJ'd, made music in a while, but we'd just be hanging out in the studio and I'd be making beats. And like, you know, he'd be like spitting some crazy shit. And I was like, dude, just record it, dude. You got some shit to say. Let him talk.
You let him talk.
So yeah, he fucking really snapped on that. And it just turned into a record. I started playing out. People loved it. And I was like, dude, we got to release this.
So Let 'Em Talk Leak, you, that track that just released, it's been getting played out other artists. It's been nonstop on my playlist. We've been friends for years, but when I connected with you at Big Dove and we started talking about me managing your project, you sent me so many unreleased songs.
It was a lot.
It was so much and I loved it, but the first track that like got me and I was like, wait, I need to listen to this again. And I need to listen to this again and again and again was the Let 'Em Talk track.
I love that.
And it's like, I know you bridge into drum and bass and dubstep, but me, who comes from listening to like primarily rap, hip hop, I love lyricists. Something about Let 'Em Talk does the same thing as that Shania Twain song that makes me want to like kick a hole through the wall.
I love that.
Like,
Let's go.
Like literally, it is my hype track. So let's go backwards from that. How I found you was through Dice Man and through Graffiti and through
Family.
Dub Day. And like, I was in the Carolinas on the East Coast, came out here, and Wade, Dice Man, Rafiki, they were bringing Dub Day out here to Denver, popping off, bringing bananas, doing like
They're
the
doing.
whole
I love it. They're doing the
thing. But it was like it wasn't like you're just like paying a ticket, going to a show, hearing your music. Like you were getting a whole ass experience. You got to experience these people authentically, who they were in their artistry, in their creativity, in their quirkiness, in their silliness. If you know Dice Man or Rafiki, like these are some of the funniest, most authentic people you will ever meet. So let's talk about Dub Day. Like, how did you come across Wade, Rafiki? How did you come across Dub Day?
Wade and Rafiki both were actually separate. Wade actually booked me on my first Brooklyn show. Wade thought my name was Michelle because if you read online, it's spelled like that. But that's why my name's spelled the way it is. Because
he's like, oh, we got Michelle on the show
yeah. He's
tonight.
like, yeah, we got a girl on the show, and I show up, and he's like, dude, I had no idea. Like,
he's like, get off stage.
I'll be honest with you,
Michelle.
like, I did not know that you were Mikayli. Back then, it was Chronic. So he's like, I'm sorry. Yeah, he's like, I'm sorry. But we got really close after that, and I started playing some Dub Day events. And from there, Wade kind of like, put me into a spot where I could like make something of my project in the Brooklyn scene. Because every Tuesday, Wade would throw a Dub Day. And, I saw Easy Baked. I saw Smokeland. I saw, all these artists that are playing main stage now. Wade was booking 5-6 years ago, and we were able to open up for them and continually support throughout the years. And Wade provided the outlet to put us there.
I love that. I feel
it was beautiful. It was a very special time.
Like, in full honesty, as an artist who values like not only the music aspect, the visual aspect, but most importantly, the lyrical aspect. Like, I connect with words, hence why this podcast started. But like, I love to get people's stories. I love to get like how they feel deeply. And Wade, Dice Man, if you're not familiar with him, I highly suggest you check out his project. But if I had to give an award to my favorite lyricist, the most authentic, vulnerable artist
by far
in this industry that I've
ever gotten to know. In the poetry in every world, dude, the poetry, he deserves it all.
Like the words, craftsmanship, like in 15 years of my experience in this industry, like Dice Man steals the show. So you, Rafiki, Wade, y'all come from East Coast, Brooklyn area, New York area, spreading the culture, spreading the sound in Denver. What is it that you feel like Denver is lacking that the East Coast has? Because a lot of people always give like the one up to Denver and to the West Coast and think the East Coast is catching up. So like, what is something that you feel like you have that you're like, Denver might not be onto this yet?
That's such a tough question to ask.
Is it the artist? Is it the venues? Is it the music?
I feel like
Is
we'd
it...
have to flip it around and more so because Denver, every time I come here, bass music thrives and there's
It's
this
the
level.
heartbeat. It's the pulse. You
There's a
can't...
level of this like community here that like you don't see in New York. And New York, right now, it just lacks the underground and it just lacks the. It's kind of tough to say, but like when I come to Denver, bass music feels like it's not pop culture, but like it's definitely popular here.
When I
And
lived on the East Coast, I felt like there was so much competition. Like I found people that shared vision and idea and like were willing to work alongside with me. But because the resources, the opportunities, the venues, the promoters like were so limited that like no matter how much we wanted to support each other, it always became this like cutthroat situation, which is what actually pushed me from the Carolinas, Tennessee to here because I was like, okay, never been to Denver in my life, but I'm going to move out there because they said that it's the heartbeat of electronic music and that's where I've landed. So if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it big. And I came here so guarded and like expected nobody to let me in, like me to really have to advocate for myself, prove my worth, like all these different things that I had to do on the East Coast just because the limitation around resources, opportunities. Whereas here, every day is like a fucking festival. And so when
yeah,
I got here and I started telling people, like, this is my idea, this is my vision, I don't care if you support it, I'm going to do it anyways. And I thought I had to have that, like, hard mentality of, like, either you join me or, like, I'm going to go against you. And what I found was, like, when I told people my visions, everybody was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it together. Let's support each other. Who's your artist? Let's book them. Like, what do you want to do? Let me put you in that job position. Like, let me support you. So for me, being out here has been so supportive because of the lack of competition. Do you ever feel, still being on the East Coast, like I don't know what the New York area is like, but do you feel, or how do you combat, like, when you feel like it's more of a competition and resources are more limited and you're having to kind of like fight for that place on the lineup or fight for that promoter's attention? Like, how do you combat that feeling of competition and learn to lean more into collaboration?
in New York, it's a little tough because I feel like there's a lot of, or there's not much shows, and there's mostly like it used to be Avant Gardner throwing the shows and the offers and stuff for shows like that is like you opening up for whoever, but like opening the doors, getting paid like nothing, literally like
Their
$0,
budgets are definitely small.
and you don't get put on the flyer. You don't. It's not worth it to even play those shows.
Yeah.
So like those are not really an option. I just never really saw the like shiny, like the
Didn't
attraction.
chase the shiny carrot.
Yeah, I was like, this is gonna do nothing for me. And all those offers, I've literally said no to. And
So what is it that you do
They're-
choose? Like, what is your motivation? If it's not like, oh, I want to get this big fee or I want to play this big venue, like, what is the thing that it's like, yes, I want to lock in, I want to play this show?
I feel like it has to align with like what I'm doing, and more so, it's like when you're creating, you don't want to just like play every show. And you can, as you start off, you should play every show, and you should like find like the demographic that like suits with you. But you'll realize more so in New York that like the bigger promoters, which now we kind of fall into, because when I said the question should be opposite, because New York right now only has corporate money, and
That
the
makes
people
sense.
who do own sound systems and they do like really try to put on for the scene almost lose money every show.
Well, and
and-
that's like across the board nationally, like
Yeah.
working for an agency, managing artists, managing a label. Like, I watch it in every different realm. Like, the industry. Sorry, guys. the industry is broke.
Is broken,
Ticket
but
sales
like
are going down. People
everything
don't buy
can be
pre-sales.
fixed.
It can
but
be fixed.
in New York, more so the problem lies with rent cost and how much it is these venues have to pay to stay open. So if dubstep fights with house music's going to bring in maybe $15,000 in alcohol sales.
Yeah.
Dubstep, you're lucky to like scrape by with the bar minimum, and then you find your way like to paying back the venue for the bar minimum. So I think a lot of promoters now like don't, especially the underground, don't find a means to throw a show the way they used to, because like when Wade was around, he was able to do this, and he had like an investor or something, but like the community and the venue was more operational. And
Well, it used to be about the vibe.
it
Like,
was, and Holo and that venue was a great place to go, and now it's like it's owned by house people. They don't want dubstep, like, and you're lucky to see bass music there, and it's basically turned into an after hours for like clubs like Avant Gardner, Scott Ave, all these places that now are, the shift has happened where it's no more underground, and every weekend is filled with so many shows by corporate money that it's hard for our friends to make any money, because they compete with people who pay a lot more to the same artist they book.
Well, now it's gotten to the point where, like, if you buy a ticket to a show, you pay fees on top of that through big ticketing companies. Whereas if you don't have to pay those fees, you get the ticket cheaper at the door. And so, like, the age we live in, like, people don't even want to spend the extra $5 to $10 on the fees. They'd rather buy the ticket at the door. So they're not buying pre-sales, which messes up the whole flow of, like, being able to predict the trajectory of shows for local artists, for artists that are coming out of state. Like, you just never know what's going to happen, and you can book like such a high demand artist and still get no ticket sales. And so it's so hard to navigate that, not only as a venue, as a promoter, as a manager, as an agent, but also as an artist, because you're not getting clear feedback over what the demand is for your sound. So having to separate yourself as an artist from, like, this is what I create and I want people to consume because it comes from me, and this is what I have to do for promoters, for venues to sell tickets. That bridge is just becoming so wide. So I think artists sticking true to themselves does people a great service, but also, like, the underground is kind of getting lost in the sauce to that. So in support of the underground, of these venues, of people that aren't getting pre-sale tickets, of artists that might feel like there's not a demand for their music because promoters aren't booking them, what would be, like, your main point of advice for these people?
I would say to just make art for yourself, not to like try to go on tour, make money just from like playing shows, but more so just like trying to figure out like what makes you happy. And I think at the end of the day, it's more so building the community that like finds you and like resonates with whatever you do. Because like you could go whatever route, kind of find the way of just like, oh, these people like this, let me keep doing this.
Yeah.
But then you're not going to find a medium to your art where like you're genuinely content with it. And I feel like you don't want to lose your potential and finding ways to just like express yourself past trying to play shows and trying to like get on this next tour. And it's all just a distraction to like what you could do for yourself. And playing shows is barely a part of what music really is.
But so many artists don't think about that.
I feel like the main thing is like, remember, if you're a producer, you're a producer. And there's so many outlets to go, from like sync licensing to publishing, past touring. Like you can figure out ways to generate income.
The sky's the limit.
That supersede all that.
Commercials.
Yeah.
You can do movies.
And
like,
you'll get paid a whole tour.
Video games, like things outside the box, you know?
Yeah, that'll fund your tour. Why fund it on ticket sales? Like,
People get so
and it's hard.
fixated.
It's hard to understand too when you've been in an industry that focuses on touring and wants you to work with your favorite artists and do this, and that is a goal. It's what you always want to do, but there's so many outlets that a lot of these agencies and people, and they just don't realize that like we are much bigger than just like touring. This is emotion and feeling that can resonate into commercials and video games, and I think it's something that has to really be looked upon. And
they don't,
if anyone sees this, they should explore it.
I feel like artists don't explore their avenues enough. They like love my nerds, no shame at the nerds. But me being not a tech person, I pride myself on being surrounded by tech nerds, which means a lot of times they're like really good at video games. They have a lot of movie knowledge, like technical, visual, audio like things that I don't have, whereas I'm like a people person. I love to yap, obviously. But it's like one of the first artists I ever signed, Black Wolf Sound. He's one of the most inspiring people I've ever met in my life. And he is so on his own wave. But his style is so cinematic. And kind of like we were talking about Wade with the poetry, like it moves you. It makes you feel something. And I don't think artists like that are like, I don't think it has to do with their value on stage in like an electronic music atmosphere. I think it's like people being ready to face that heaviness of emotion and that like that avenue of themselves when it comes to a musical experience. But also having artists that have like diverse capabilities like that, like video games, movies, segments into commercials, like a podcast. Like there's so many different avenues that we can go down that people just don't really explore. And one of the things I love about you is you put out, like Wade said, like your work ethic, like you are just dumping. And as an artist manager, I have this thing where I'm like, one, I only want to work with my friends because I view that as a long-term relationship that I know we can build on, we can work through hard things with. But also, like, I know your head's in the game, and I, like, always have a kind of sense of where you're at, whether it's music, movies, commercials, like, whatever. Let's do it. But there's so many people that, like, just don't know how to show up with the work ethic. And when I met you at Big Dub and we started, like, exploring your project, our connection, what a manager-artist relationship would look like, and I'm like, send me your unreleased playlist. Let me listen to it. And you sent me enough music to keep me dancing around my house for like the longest time. And
it was a lot.
Up,
I was like,
yo, like you're just sitting.
I was like, damn, I don't even know if I should have sent, like, it was like my main playlist with like mostly everything. I was like, this is like what's finished, but like there's a whole other thing. I was like, let's start here. And then your reaction was like, damn, I might have sent too much. I was like,
you sent me like well above 20 plus songs, which was funny because I just had an artist send a larger artist songs, and it was like 5 songs, and he was like, oh, that's so much. And it's like, no, I want to hear it all. Like, you're sitting on 20 to 40 songs right now that like the world has never heard. Like, what is holding you back from releasing this? What would you say holds you back the most from releasing music when you're sitting on that much gold?
I feel like you just got to release it. I've like sat around for so long waiting for labels and waiting for people to be like, this is like the perfect piece. Let us drop it on this. And I think the best thing was just like dropping it and then seeing the reaction from people. And just, even with the album, it was a lot of songs to release at once, but seeing the like natural like reaction of people was just beautiful. And also just like it broke me out of my comfort zone and helped me realize that like this wasn't something I should think a lot about, because like people don't want just one thing if you can make them realize you're not just in this box.
Well, when you break it down, like you have your organic fan base that's built off your sound. Like they're specifically there to digest your sound. So then when you're like, I want a label to release it, you're then taking your sound, trusting their fan base to perceive it in the way that you want it. And sometimes that doesn't happen. You're leaning into a whole different fan base. And that's okay. And as somebody who's worked for labels, who manages a label? We love labels because they bridge communities. But if you are a producer, if you are an artist, let me tell you, you do not need a label to release your music. You do not need a label to be successful. Some of your best tracks, self-released, highest plays. Our own Hemi.Wav artists that we release on Hemi.Wav, their highest plays aren't from labels. Their highest plays are from self-releases. Exactly. Because your fan bases want to know you. They want to hear you, and you have to trust in what you're building.
I feel like at that point you only like do a disservice to yourself.
Yeah.
Because like at that point I hit a point where it was like a year and I dropped like 3 songs, and it just like felt like I was sitting on probably most of the songs I sent you. And I remember I showed like Sam Essex, and he was like, dude, you gotta like release some music. It's like, put it out. Like, why you like just sitting on this? I was like, damn, you're right. And honestly, the best advice I got was just like, put it out.
Put it out.
And like people now know it, and like people download it. Random people just like hit you up about it. And even if you get like a couple thousand plays or whatever, a couple hundred, like
it's better than
if 100 people downloaded it, and maybe they're fucking playing it out, and maybe now you have like a bunch of new fans. But if it's on your hard drive, no one's gonna hear it. And if that label doesn't want it, or they don't have the time to listen to it, which 90% of the time they don't, or like they actually just like give you like false feedback or whatever, it's worth it to just do it on your own and like put it out on Reddit and put it out on all these places that communities build, and there's real fans there to listen.
And I think alignment is everything. And so like unless you're organically producing, releasing, like not saying labels can't be supportive.
Oh no, they should be, like, and it's a beautiful thing to like collaborate, but at the same point, for me it was a very big hindering moment where for 2 years, it was like, I have to do this to make it. And then what's making it? I was like, to me, even like getting the Deadbeats release with Mythum, it was like amazing, but it never like hit like I thought it would, because there's no moment that like really makes you, as much as like there's a lot of moments that people feed into, and then you build these communities from the emotions that like people resonate with. So whether Deadbeats gives that to you, or Wakan, or your self-releases, no matter what, as long as you like build and build and build, eventually you'll build a Great Wall of China if you keep going. Like, yeah. But like if you're waiting for the label, you're gonna probably still be on half a house.
And like you've been keeping up with the pace of releases every 2 weeks since I picked you up months ago. Like you have stuck with that. Like you have stayed with your dates. You've stayed with your releases. We have pitched your tracks, your album to media outlets, to labels, to whatever. And at the end of the day, if it doesn't get picked up, your mindset doesn't shift. You're like, it's coming out on this day. And I have the support within myself, within my friends, within the people I collaborate with, to make sure that this track is going to release and do well on this day.
And thank you.
And like, I'm blown away. I'm like, he doesn't even need a label. He doesn't need media. Like, it's all about believing in yourself. And that's one of the things I admire most about you, is like your ability to believe in your own craftsmanship, but not only believe in your own, but to spread messages like this and encourage other people to believe in their own craftsmanship and their own skill, and to not rely on those things, you know. Love managing a label, but anybody that comes to me, I'm going to be like, yeah, Hemi.Wav, we release sick music. Check out our releases.
Yeah.
But also, like, you don't need Hemi.Wav to be successful.
Exactly.
Like, you don't need us to be successful. Just put your art out into the world.
It's a goal, and like it's a stepping stone, but it's not going to make or break you. And the hindering of your project is basically like believing that those things will make a big difference, when you're going to get like a community from it, but like what happens after that is up to you.
100%. So with that being said, You are already gaining like crazy momentum this year, just doing your own thing, riding your own wave, collaborating, not collaborating, self releasing, doing what feels good to you. For 2026, what can we expect from you? I know some merch. Aren't you partnered with SoundCloud?
We are. We back in the day, I signed up for like some beta program, and SoundCloud is like trying to incorporate like the underground into this new form of like it being a one-stop shop. So SoundCloud is trying to be like Spotify streaming, but SoundCloud you could buy vinyls and merch and whatever like the artist is selling, and they're really honing into that. So I got lucky to be in the beta program, and they offered to just run on demand printing for the merch that I would come up with. So
Like even that's crazy. Artists like don't even know things like that exist. It's
and
so narrow minded on like what our avenues are. Have you hit up SoundCloud and asked them to help you with merch?
yeah, it's all about like taking that little risk and like signing up for like little things that you think might not work, and it's crazy what could happen from that. But like that led to just they printed like two merch designs for me, and they've basically done it at cost at the same price as my merch people.
So
And
we always debate this. Would you say SoundCloud is more supportive to artists than Spotify?
oh fuck yeah,
topic.
fuck Spotify.
Thank you.
Like by a long shot. My
So-
SoundCloud royalties are the same exact streaming numbers on both platforms, and I get triple the amount.
Even
So,
with
like,
this
fuck you,
podcast,
Spotify.
we were like, okay, like, you know, you think distributing, like, what are the top platforms? We're like, we're going to put it on SoundCloud, we're going to put it on Spotify, we're going to put it on YouTube. And then I had people start educating me about more things with Spotify. I already knew that they weren't the best. And I was like, well, I don't want to do anything that's not like fully supportive to the artist. So I don't think we need a distributor for Spotify. I would rather have 500 plays on SoundCloud than 5,000 on Spotify. And so we chose
Well,
to
like you
keep-
definitely want your, as a marketing person myself, you want your music everywhere that's going to be consumed, and you want to take advantage of every radio station that might get you a new listener.
Definitely.
So like it's very important to not like just like throw them out and just, you know, kick them to the curb, because like probably 90% of people listen to music on Spotify. So like you will immediately kick out your main demographic and all the chances to meet new people because of the radio platforms. Like I don't put any money into Spotify, and
So
the
you're
radio
saying don't invest in it, but don't cut it off.
don't cut off any avenue that's going to get you new listeners.
Love it.
Yeah.
Great perspective.
You know, and also like do your research. Like if people are saying it's a bad company, like look at what's happening, like, and look at like marketing is a funny thing, and you got to realize that like people attack companies, and you just want to be smart and just know that like most of these companies are all on the same exact level.
Definitely. How would you say you balance the like music with the marketing? Like a lot of people love to create and to make, and then when it comes to the marketing, the social media, they're like, I'm out. Like I'm out. How do you overcome that block?
I never really think about marketing.
Never think about marketing.
Like
So what's
I'm
your approach to it? You just like put out whenever.
like for Let 'Em Talk, me and Ty were just like, let's go to Jonathan's house with red lights and like film, and let me try to like make it like chopped up and right. And for Sunday, me and Filthy went to like a random place with a sunset and like filmed a bunch of clips and like edited it. But like there's always like a vision, and then like we kind of piece it together. But it all starts with like starting in the studio and making the music first.
Yeah. And like everything you market just feels so authentic and real to you. And like when cameras were off, we just had like an hour long riff on authenticity and like showing up vulnerability and just being yourself, and like every mishap on this podcast. Like I don't care if you edit, I don't care if you cut it. Like we are who we are, we express how we express, and it just is us. You like us or you don't. And I feel like so many artists don't take that approach to their music. They're like chasing perfection and too worried about like what is the consumer gonna think if I like mispronounce a word, or I fumble over a sentence, or like this edited isn't, it's not perfect. Edited it, see? Fumbling over words. If it's not perfect, like, it doesn't matter. We're human. Like, the more human somebody is, the more I love them, and I would like to think people feel the same way. And you're just somebody that I've always been like, he's just a real ass dude. Like, likes to smoke weed, likes to make great music, can sit and yap with for hours. Like, I think there's so much value in that. How do you keep your authenticity in this scene?
Don't think about it. Let's start there.
That's
like,
authentic. You're just
but
you.
like, be a good person too. Like, don't, be empathetic, and I don't know. It's like, I never really thought about that, but I'm just like, just being like, trying to communicate and resonate with people. Yeah. But like, art is also just like a big community that like, we're all just artists and don't know what the fuck we're doing. So like,
nobody knows.
Talking to each other and it's like getting through it together is just like one step along.
But that's
figuring
the fun
it out.
Part. That's the fun part. Okay. I'm gonna leave you on one last easy, silly question. So your latest album, mini album you just released, Sunsets in Bushwick, is a great portrayal of your sound. Okay, I'm gonna leave you on two questions. One, I want to know what your favorite track you've ever made in the history of Mikayli is. Like, if you could send listeners to one track, and we're like, you might not know who I am, but I need you to listen to this one sick-ass track I made. What is that track? Where are you sending people?
I'm going to send y'all to let them talk. Can we start with the second question?
Okay. Second question. We'll circle back. I'll spin the block for you. Second question is... also a big question, because your music is so dynamic and expensive. If your music had a color.
A color.
If you had to pick one color to describe what I consider the expansiveness of your music, I think it's a rainbow. But you can only pick one color. What is the color of your music and why?
I love it for it to be a rainbow.
Nope. One color.
But
I said a rainbow. You don't get to say that. One rainbow. One color.
I feel like the answer might be like somewhere between a sunset and like midnight. So like starting with like a gradient on black going into midnight, because of I'm not trying to put myself into like one place, but like I still want to do bass music, but still want you to go into Sunsets in Bushwick.
So we're going.
So like start at like midnight with Alex Perez, like 140.
Okay.
Into like liquid drum and bass, gradients of Sunsets in Bushwick. So like black into red.
I like that. Okay, I'll take that answer.
I'll take it off the rip.
I'll take that answer. I'm gonna spin the block. What's the song we're sending people to from the whole history of Mikayli? You've been making music for how long?
Like 10 years, maybe
10 years?
A little longer.
Did you know you wanted to be an electronic music producer? Or...
It definitely started as dubstep, but like as my taste grown and I saw Charles and like got introduced to like garage and all this stuff like throughout the like 20 years of listening to music.
So I'm sure all of our listeners are Charles.
Does it have to be released?
No.
So if
it can be an unreleased, but if you name an unreleased,
yeah,
I expect you to release it.
Yeah, then nobody knows what it is. Oh man, it's like kind of hard to put. I feel like if it was like Sunsets in Bushwick with garage.
Sunsets in Bushwick with garage.
Because like I give you a random name of a song right now, but like no one would even know what it is. So it's like if Sunset Bushwick was made at 1:30.
Okay.
I feel like that would be like a very medium, like
a happy medium.
What I want to go for in the future.
I like that.
But I don't ever want to stray away from everything I love, like bass music and like the gritty sound design, the drum and bass.
Definitely. I get that. My vote is I'm going to send everybody to Let 'Em Talk, which is your newest release.
Yeah. Let's start there. Because that's still like one of my favorites. Like, shout out Leak. We love what happened there.
Yeah. But all of it, like that whole album, like you are just expansive. I love it. I appreciate you coming on, talking to us, yapping with me, spilling with us.
Oh, it's been a pleasure, and thank you for having me.
Yeah, definitely.
It's like the first time we ever really did this, so
It is the first time we ever did this. We're all learning together. Once again, nothing has to be perfect. Just get your ideas out there. Find cool ass people to do it with. People that support you. Like, it will change the game. Nothing has to be perfect. Just start somewhere.
Don't ever succumb to like the industry. Just do what you want to do and figure it out.
Do what you want to do.
Be an artist.
Yeah, this podcast has been an idea for years, and we just had to say, fuck it, let's just do it. It doesn't have to be perfect, and that's where we are. And now we get to talk to sick ass people like you. But you are playing Cervantes this weekend. That is going to be passed by the time this is coming up. You have a Denver headline 2026. We're not going to announce. Somewhere special. Super, super great lineup. So when you see that come out, know it's coming. We talked to Wade earlier. Dub Day, Denver, calling that in. And anywhere else you want to see Mikayli, really, like, get to know him, listen to his music, buy tickets to his shows, ask him questions, slide in his DMs. And yeah, like, artists are just people too. They love to talk. They, you know, we get to know their music, we get to know their soundscapes, but very rarely we get to know who they are. And so that is kind of what we're trying to do, is give you a better picture of who they are, because behind their art there's always an artist, and they bring so much value to the world. So thank you for the value that you've brought to us tonight.
And thank you for having me. This has been fun.
I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you guys for listening.
Yeah, thanks for listening, and we'll be back.
Yeah.
I don't know when. Hopefully next month with another episode.
Let's go.
Yay!